Good morning. It is so great to be here today to worship with all of you and to study God's Word. We're going to continue in our Genesis series. We are in chapter 16, and I know that some of you are going, we are almost done with June. You said we were going to get through all of Genesis this summer. We are. Okay, we're going to hit a few chapters at a time coming up very soon. But last week we talked about the covenant that God signed with Abram, and it was strictly God who signed it because it's not up to man to accomplish anything. It is all the work of God. Today we move into chapter 16. There are some commentators that I discovered this week that wish chapter 16 didn't exist. Not in a throwaway parts of the Bible type of way, but we have chapter 15 with Abram, a man of faith who is doing great things, and he's in a covenant with God, and then chapter 16 goes right into his failures. Yeah, pretty rough. But today, let's look and see what we can learn, because there is some really intimate, personal things that we can learn from chapter 16. Before we dive into that, let's talk about what else is happening around the world at this time. At this time of chapter 16 of Genesis, we discover that elsewhere, the Great Pyramids are being built. This is actually a controversial topic because many secular scientists will say that the pyramids disprove Noah's flood. But simply put, the pyramids were built after the flood. When you study and you dig down under the pyramids, you discover that they are built on top of many fossil layers that can only be described or possible by the Great Flood. So don't let secular dating determine whether or not the flood happened. The flood did happen. The pyramids came after it. It is not God's word that's wrong. It is man's understanding of it that is wrong. So trust the fact that these pyramids were built after the flood. But those pyramids are being built around this time. Other parts of the world are being established, and the silk industry is actually being started and established at this same time. To give you more of a biblical understanding of when this chapter 16 is taking place, it's 10 years after God has promised to Abram that he will have many descendants. 10 years, and still nothing has happened on those lines. So you'll get a better understanding of what's about to happen. We are going to break chapter 16 into 3 sections of reading today. If you don't mind the up and down and up and down and up and down, it's good medically. You won't get blood clots. You can stand as we read. If you don't like the up and down, just have a reverent heart before the Lord as we read his word. We're going to start by reading chapter 16, verses 1 through 6. Now, Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children. She had a female Egyptian servant whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said to Abram, "Behold now, the Lord has prevented me from bearing children. Go in to my servant. It may be that I shall obtain children by her." And Abram listened to the voice of Sarai. So after Abram had lived 10 years in the land of Canaan, Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, the Egyptian, her servant, and gave her to Abram, her husband, as a wife. And he went in to Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, she looked with contempt on her mistress. And Sarai said to Abram, "May the wrong done to me be on you. I gave my servant to your embrace. And when she saw that she had conceived, she looked on me with contempt. May the Lord judge between you and me." But Abram said to Sarai, "Behold, your servant is in your power. Do to her as you please." Then Sarai dealt harshly with her, and she fled from her. You may be seated.